Hi everyone, Michelle Fixit. Well, you guys have missed out on a lot of videos because I am in a bit of a project. So currently what I'm doing is I'm refinishing a tub, which I've done a bunch of times before, and I'm a huge advocate for refinishing tubs. I typically use the Rust-Oleum tub and tile kit. Before their popularity online and everything, they were like 25, 35 bucks. It wasn't a big deal. Now they're like 40, 50, 60 bucks. And I don't know, I wanted to try something new because a lot of the times if I'm just doing one tub, I have a fair amount of products left over. So after doing a fair amount of research, what I am doing today is my first time of using Rust-Oleum topside and primer to be able to resurface this or refinish this tub. I will let you guys know if you want my experience with, this is like a big bathroom that or a little bathroom that I am working on. If you guys want to know anything about my experiences with the tub and tile Rust-Oleum kit, I think they're fantastic. So the big thing is your prep work. So being that I've done Rust-Oleum a bunch of times and I know that the prep work is like super important, I decided to get, where is it? I've lost it. Here it is. Oh, I just touched my tub. I have to pause you guys. Okay, I fixed the tub. So I have my handy dandy drill and I have a sandpaper attachment. When I researched it for the Rust-Oleum kits, because I'm kind of having to go with that and then going by a few different people that have used the Rust-Oleum Marine Primer for metal, and then the top side because they don't have the bottom side in white. I don't know, they just have the top side in white. What I've been finding is to use, I think it's like 100 or 200 or something. Way finer sandpaper than I typically use with my kits. I normally like really rough them up. And a lot of people will be grumpy about the Rust-Oleum kits because they'll say, oh, it doesn't last. It lasted a year. That was it. And then it started chipping and peeling and this and that and everything else. Well, it's probably because your prep work wasn't really that great. For me, with the Rust-Oleum kits, doing really good prep work, I have done, I think like 5 or 6 tubs of Reynolds. So I think I've done like 5 or 6 tubs. The shortest lifespan for chipping with good prep work for me was a 4-year mark. And that one was a special case because there was an older person that was using a shower chair, and the shower chair, like the feet, the little rubber feet, one of them had fallen off and I wasn't aware of this. I'm also filthy. And so as they were like, moving the shower chair around in and out of there, it started chipping. But I mean, you're going to create damage to a tub regardless if that's the case. And then that tub also was used by me for my son, and I wasn't thinking about it when he was a baby. And so he has a baby tub, and the baby tub really wreaked havoc with him jumping and this and that and everything else on the tub. And then the sides of the tub, exactly where his baby tub would hit, started breaking down. So I do need to refinish that one. So that one, or it's not that one, but it's a different one. That one did start breaking down at the 4-year mark, but because it had like, some serious issues going on with it, with its use. The other ones, 5, 6, 7 years. That's it. As long as you let them cure for a few days before you start using them, it works really well. Another tip and trick, and I know I'm like doing so much talking before I get to like how you get to this stage. Another tip and trick that I think is essential when you're redoing a tub besides the prep work is that if you have somebody that like drops something heavy or whatever and causes a dent or ding or whatever in your tub, you can get the Rust-Oleum tub touch-up. I highly recommend that, even if you haven't used one of the kits, as a way to fix the issues that you're having, because I'm actually super proud of this tub, because didn't do it before. I should have done it before. I've been just really rushing with this project, so you guys didn't get any videos. And I'm waiting for this to dry so I can do other stuff with it. But if your tub has a chip in it, and it's a cast iron tub, and then you allow rust to happen, it will eventually rust and mess up your tub, and then you need a new tub. And these are really good tubs. Like, if you try to get a new cast iron tub, they're very expensive. That's why the fiberglass ones are like everywhere, but they break down too. So no matter what you get, it's going to break down. But this tub in particular, this tub looks fantastic just with its primer. So if you notice, it doesn't have, I took everything out because this tub was so bad. I had to take everything out. So the ring is super old. And this diverter has been leaking for like a decade, according to the older homeowner. And so basically this whole circle right here was super rusted. And then all of this was super rusted. This was like more surface rust, but it was still a fair amount of rust. But this was really bad, bubbly rust. And that was another reason why I wanted to use this, because it, Rust-Oleum stops rust and stuff. So I took everything out, which I highly recommend doing. And then I grabbed my drill and I went on Amazon and I got these little sander guys. The whole reason I don't like doing tubs, one is because of the noxious chemicals, which honestly, after using the Rust-Oleum kits, I'm in here with this. The stuff does not smell that bad in comparison to the Rust-Oleum kit. Like, I have a Rust-Oleum tub kit because I didn't know if I was gonna like really do this, but then I kind of talked myself into it. So I will let you guys know if it has the same resilience as the other ones. But basically, when you're doing the tub and tile kit, the fumes are horrific and they create super bad headaches, migraines, everything for me. I feel like hungover the next day. The nice thing about the Rust-Oleum kit, but it's also bad at the same time, is that like you do your prep and then, and like, again, I use the sand, normally I hand sand them. I got the kit and these little drill attachments and it just makes such a difference. So I overly sanded this whole entire thing. And then after I over sanded it with the drill, and I got that, the drain down to bare metal because it was so bad with the rust and stuff. And I did that with this little attachment, which was so awesome. So really it only took me like 15-20 minutes to prep it. And normally, because I'm an over prepper when it comes to tubs, like I will spend an hour sanding and my arms will hurt and I'll be super grumpy about it and it'll just be a terrible experience. So I sanded it with the drill and then I hand sanded it just for posterity's sake, because I am me and I like to overdo stuff. And then I vacuumed it with my very ugly, dirty shop vac. So I vacuumed it and then I brushed it out with a paintbrush to get any stuff, and then I wiped it down. I like to wipe things down with like a alcohol damp microfiber or paper towel. So I did all that so you don't have any dust and stuff. For application, since I had overly prepped, Rust-Oleum kits, you want to use the foam rollers. I get very grumpy with the foam rollers because the foam rollers start to disintegrate with the Rust-Oleum tub and tile kits. So then you're picking little foam pieces from your foam guy out of your tub while you're trying to work on it. It's very harsh. The primer did not have that happen. And to go back to my point that I've distracted myself all over the place with, because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm waiting for a tub to dry so that I can like put a second coat on it, because I'm just kind of like assuming on things. Which actually I might not do that. I think I'm just gonna let it sit. It says to let it sit overnight and I'm like battling with what to do with these things. But anyways, Rust-Oleum kit, once you mix everything together, it's an epoxy product, so it starts to cure and do all of its stuff. So that leftover product, you can't use it. It also gets like a little bit more gelatinous on its second stage. So the nice thing is that you mix it, you put it on there, you have to rush around because it's trying to dry a little bit, then you have to do your second coat, and then your product goes bad. So if you really want to do a third coat, it recommends not doing it, at least the last time I did one and read the directions. And so it's like you have this leftover product, and if you really want to get like a thick surface, you're gonna have to buy a second kit, or you're gonna have to measure out like how much you need to use for the stuff. So it's kind of annoying. And so you get the fastness with it, but you also get the lack of, being able to do several tubs. Because it doesn't, you shouldn't, like, I don't know, if you do the 3 coats, if you follow the directions, you're gonna have to like measure it out and separate it in order to do like a 3rd or 4th coat, because otherwise your product's gonna get messed up. This one, the primer, I think it's like marine grade primer. Yeah, marine coatings primer. And this is the metal one. They also have a fiberglass one. So if you have a fiberglass tub, you use the fiberglass one. If you have a metal tub, you use the metal one. And if you have a cast iron tub, you definitely want to make sure that you sand it down to the bare metal, which is what I did, because you want to stop that rust in its tracks. Because you have a good tub and you want to keep it as a good tub. But anyways, the primer I was not aware of until I read the directions. The primer you put on there, and then you're supposed to let it dry overnight and then apply your top coat, which kind of messes up my timeline for this bathroom. But I have other stuff to work on. So, like I said, we just pretty much, I'm at the primer part. And it looks great. And it's just primer. And this is just the first coat of the primer. Like, I'm pretty impressed with this process. And I mean, yes, I've done several tubs at this point, so like that shadow over there, that's not a blemish right there. That's the shadow from the faucet spout. But I think it looks really, really good, and I'm super excited about it because this is a 120-year-old house. I have no idea the age of the tub, but I think it looks great. And so, as you can see with my prep work, like minus the sanding, which is super important, I use tape. If you are not proficient on doing things like this, I recommend doing like wider tape or do longer, taller tape. And I know it looks messy, but that's because I'm gonna like carve the paint off of here and stuff. I got a million things going on. Leave it alone. But I tape off with the blue paint or the blue painter's tape. I heavily recommend, if you have a very rusty tub, to just go ahead and take everything out of there. So the drain is out, the overflow is out, because the overflow also had a lot of rust. Sand it down and then hand sand it just to make sure everything is great. What I do, and I wish I would have like recorded it, what I do is I will open up my container, mix my pieces together if I have like the tub and tile kit, and then I use a paintbrush. I just use the cheap Dollar Tree paintbrushes. I pull on them a little bit to make sure that nothing is like going to be mobile on it, and then I just dip from the can and I do the perimeter. So like I did the top of it, all the top of it, and then I brought it down to the side. And then I brought this down to the side, and then I overdid the drain, and then I overdid the overflow, and then I poured some of this in here, and like really, I use like that much of it, like that much. Like I'm gonna be able to do multiple tubs with this, which is great because I have all of my tubs are starting to finally come of age because I did them all at the same time. And then you have the foam roller. So, you just go ahead and pour in some of the, and again, if you have fiberglass, use a different one. But if you have a metal tub, get the marine grade, the marine coating primer used on metal above the water line. There we go. Pour a little bit of that in there and then saturate it. And I just like I did with the paintbrush. So I start at the top and I just work my way around the tub. And then I come over here and then I do the side. And then I do the side. I leave the bottom part because you're more likely to get yuck in this brush. So I do the top perimeter of it, but I do not do this part right here. So go around. And then what I would do is I would do like the side right here. And then I'd slowly work my way down. I typically start over here because that's going to be the lowest point on the tub. And if you're going to have rust, if you're going to have issues, it's going to be on the lowest part of the tub. When I first started
I used logic and I said, oh, I'll start here, and then that way if everything goes down, it'll end up down there. I don't do that anymore because I've done so many of them at this point. I start here and then I work my way up. So that way, if there's any mess ups with the rust or maybe it thins out in a way that I don't expect it to, something like that, I can hit it and hit it and hit it again. Like, I have already kind of overhit this area because the rust was all the way here. Like, this was bubbly rust for the drain. This area was so bad with rust, and then this was a bunch of surface rust. Because this tub has clearly never had, well, not clearly anymore because now it looks great. But it had clearly never had a reglazing done, and it had a very rough life. So after I get done with that, I just kind of like, well, hang on. So perimeter, and then because I'm not going to be doing it over here, pretend that I'm working on this side, but over here. I roll down like this a fair amount, and I'll do like a quarter of this tub. And then after I've rolled down on all these sides, then I'm going to go this way. And the curves, the only area that you're really going to have a big pain in the butt is when you get to right here. So when you're at this bottom part, you just are kind of like lightly pulling it up, lightly pulling it up, lightly pulling it up to try to make it look as good as you can because the curvature is a pain in the butt. The sides are not a big pain. So like once I get done with this quarter and I'm working my way, I mean, again, pretend that we're over here. So as I'm working my way away from the drain, I do the same thing where I start up here and then I'm just going this way, this way, this way, this way until I've hit it. And then I do this way, this way, this way, this way over here. And then I roll it down and then I swoop in the middle. And that just gives the best, cleanest aesthetic. And then I repeat it again for the next section. Well, at this point would be over here. Repeat it for the next section and then go back to how I did it in the front over there. So yeah, that's it. And this is primer. It's not even the final coat. It's gonna look so good. I'm so happy about this. And with the Rust-Oleum tub and tile kits on your first coating, even with the white tub, you always are like, ew, this doesn't look that great. This first coat of white primer looks great. Like, I don't know how it's gonna dry. I don't know if it's gonna have a gloss to it or not. It doesn't say either. It just says white primer. But it looks really good. I'm very excited about it. I wish I would have known about this beforehand because this primer, I don't know about the top side part, but I know that this primer, I could probably do 2 or 3 more tubs. And I'm going to. And I'm going to make videos because I've never taken the stuff off of them. So I'm going to make some videos on taking the stuff off of them. And then now that I have this awesome attachment, thanks Amazon, I am going to be sanding the crap out of all of the tubs. And maybe I can like make a 4-year tub with abuse turn into a 7-year with abuse. And then maybe make my 6 and 7-year tubs turn into like 10, 14-year tubs. Because if you have to close down your bathroom, even once every 7 years or once every 5 years, and it costs you not a lot of money, because you can pay somebody to come out and do the same thing, but most of those places will give you like a year warranty or 3 years warranty, and then it chips. Because I know people that have done it, different places, different states and stuff. But yeah, I think it's gonna be great. And so I will do another, or I might, if I don't know. I'm not an editor person, but I will do updates on it, pros and cons on it. If I think it's better or worse than the Rust-Oleum kit. Very partial to them. It's just the cost of it and the fumes. The cost and the fumes, not fun. And what I do plan on doing as of right now to finish this up is I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then I'm going to lightly hand sand it, because I do also think that's great if you're using a Rust-Oleum tub and tile kit, or you're using this product, excuse me, is to sand between coats, because then if you have any weird stuff going on,
You can clear it out because otherwise you're just bulking up yucky paint jobs, essentially. So I'm gonna lightly sand this tomorrow, and then I'm going to add a coat of the top side. I'm gonna try to go for 2 coats. There may be an additional video on it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to remember to record it off of this video. I don't edit my stuff, so the most you guys will get out of me is like if I put 2 videos together. That's it. And then that's all I can say. Remove all the caulk from the perimeter of it, over sand it, get that attachment. It's awesome. You use Comet or Comet equivalent Ajax, something like that, to degrease it, because clearing it off of the yucky stuff is very essential, because otherwise your paint's gonna bubble. If you did if you did a Rust-Oleum tub and tile kit and it bubbled, it's because you had stuff that was still on there and it just created a surface space. So do that, then sand it with the attachment, and then hand sand it, apply the crap to it, and then, not the crap, but put the primer on it if that's your thing. If you're doing the Rust-Oleum tub and tile kit, then just put that in there and know that you're gonna lose product. And then, you know, let it sit overnight, and then put the top side on there, and then let it sit. And again, as somebody that's done multiple tubs, let your tub sit at least 3 days before you use it, because the longer it has to sit and cure, the more time you're going to get out of that application. So that's it. So no fancifulness or anything like that. Just me kind of talking and giving my experience on it. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, email me, comment on a video, whatever you want to do. And if you're new to DIY, I am super proud of you, and I am hoping that you will catch the project bug. And just for posterity's sake, again, look at this tub. It looks so good, and it's just primer, and that's it. Also, I have no toilet. I have a lot of stuff going on in here. Like lots and lots and lots of stuff going on in here. But this bathroom is slowly getting better. Eventually, it'll be a great bathroom. Or at least the best old bathroom that it can be. So, have a great day. See you next time. Bye!